Today I'm going to start by posing a question. When are leaders from black communities, even those with expert qualifications, unable to voice their views on the nature of racism in our society? The answer, it seems, is when they deviate from the orthodoxy of victimhood. There is, of course, nothing new in this. Elements of the left sought in previous decades to denounce and destroy the likes of Thomas Sowell, Justice Clarence Thomas, and Condoleezza Rice. More recently, they have waged war in the most despicable terms against the likes of Senator Tim Scott and Trevor Phillips. These people are guilty of a simple crime. They have questioned the near article of faith that the reason for disparities in the life outcomes of people from different ethnic backgrounds is institutional racism enacted by and for white people. It is a serious charge. If true, none of us could dispute that it needs dealing with. So it was that, in the midst of the Black Lives Matter protests last year, the British government launched a mammoth review to study the evidence to see whether this theory was correct. The assembled 11-strong commission, of whom 10 were black or from other ethnic minority backgrounds, considered thousands of data points over the course of 9 months. Their conclusions, set out in a 264-page report, were unequivocal. There is simply no evidence to substantiate the widespread claim that anti-minority bias exists at an institutional or structural level. Indeed, as a demonstration of its data-led approach, the report was even able to identify that many ethnic minority groups outperform their white counterparts. This is not to say that racism does not exist within British society. Clearly it does. For example, the report rightly identified the horrors of racist taunting and abuse online and gave clear recommendations on how to remedy it. But, by and large, the commissioners found the UK to be a beacon to the rest of Europe and the world when it comes to integration. For many, this should rightly have been seen as a cause for celebration. Even those with long-standing beliefs in a contrary conclusion ought to have been able to recognise it as a substantial piece of work backed up by solid evidence. Instead, the reaction was immediate and visceral. Before the paper had even been released, dozens of so-called activists queued up to denounce it. The commissioners were themselves subject to vile online racist abuse, including being called Uncle Toms, coconuts, and race traitors. It would appear that facts cannot be allowed to get in the way of the worldview of some who stress that racism lies behind every slight and injustice, regardless of the evidence. In doing so, such people let down the communities that they purport to represent. The Commission made 24 solid recommendations about what the government could do to improve the life chances of this country's most disadvantaged. It would surely be more beneficial for future outcomes in the UK if those behind the grievance industry could put their dogma to one side and examine these. They would achieve a lot more by pushing for life-changing initiatives for those they claim to care about, rather than endlessly fighting ideological culture wars.